How's it going, everybody? My name is Lauren. I'm really glad you're here. This is the 8th episode of Meta of the Storm. And tonight we have a special guest. Unfortunately, Bleedies cannot be here this evening. But I am joined by the one and only Renal of Miasma eSports. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing pretty well, Aaron.
I'm really glad you're here. You messaged me a while back and I was really surprised. I was like, all right, cool. I've seen you and I have interacted a lot
Yeah.
lately. Back when I was doing coaching stuff for Psycom, I worked with you a lot there. I've obviously casted you guys quite a bit, so
Yeah.
I was really excited to have you on the show to get some of your insights. So this comes at a really good time because the game is effectively about to change. It's gonna feel like a whole different game, I think.
Yeah, no, the changes incoming are we're gonna see a huge shift in the meta.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool to talk about some of the topics. As you can see, Lord Boo, I did manage to get the Twitch chat to work. Cool, feel pretty good about that. But the idea here is the overall flow of how I think tonight's episode is gonna go is get to know Reno a little bit, hear some of his backstory, hear about Miasma eSports a little bit, hear his initial take on the PTR patch. I was talking to him before the start of the show, and he's had a lot of time to practice on the PTR and really get a feel for it before it's live tomorrow. We actually last week did not finish talking about the patch because it's so big, so we're going to talk about Zagara and Tyrael specifically. And each week we like to do an emphasis on a hero. And when we have a guest, I usually like to see what heroes do you like to have. And tonight we're going to be learning about the one and only Lunara. So the Chin discussion, I'm excited to hear about Lunara, and Chin's still in the wings. Trust me, but it's gonna be a lot of fun tonight. So I'm glad you guys are here. I'm looking through the chat now. Oh yeah, the change the Chin. I think that's a lot bigger of a deal than some might initially credit for, but fun. So Reno,
Yeah.
you are in Miasma eSports. How long have you been with them?
So I'm the owner and founder of Miasma Esports.
Wow, cool. So you've been with them for its entire duration.
Yes, since its inception, I've been with them. We started out in like late January. It was just me and Axmaster, formerly known as. um, so he and I were roommates in college, and I started playing Heroes, and then I got him into it, and lo and behold, we both got rank 1 and wanted to start getting into competitive because we were bored. um, and it just Heroes was a fun game. I really liked it, so we started getting into it and started playing Team League with some people, and we ran into Unileska and Pang, and we just kind of formed Miasma from there. We just needed a tank, and that was Swanky. I met him in HL, and we just played, and we played in Chair League. Like, Reddit was a buzz with Chair League, and it was something that I saw amateurs can get into competitive things. It was an avenue. It was a good avenue. And so we started getting in there, and then lo and behold, we wanted some more on our plate, and then we started playing in Divergent, and getting bodied every week was so much fun. I remember our very first Divergent tournament had a team with Ducks Can Fly, who,
Ooh.
as many of you may know, is the #1 Hero League ladder champion. And I played against his Zagara, and I was on Falstad and absolutely got bodied. Like, it was just not fun, not a fun time. So that was my first taste of competitive play, but we stuck through it, and yeah, there's been some roster changes. Yuna and Pang couldn't make the time commitments that we needed to get more competitive, so we brought
Right.
on Swollen and Golden Griff, and then yeah, then I recognized that I'm starting podiatry school in the fall,
Oh, cool.
so I need to drop down from playing. So we brought in Fox, formerly known as Sleepy Bear, and yeah, that's Miasma Black, and Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been good.
like I've seen you guys grow, and get better as a team throughout chair. Like I've actually lost count of how many times I've cast you. Like
Yeah.
like I'm sure you guys have seen me cast you guys, and I've seen you, and I was really surprised, and it was really cool. Last week at Sweet Synergy, you guys are two teams now,
Yep.
Miasma White and Black, and that was a set, man. Like that was a really cool
Yeah.
set of games to watch. So it was cool to see you guys. Like I'm sure you guys scrim each other pretty often, but it was a very
Yeah.
evenly matched game set of games. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the really cool thing about that is when I stepped down as a player, I really still wanted to be involved with my team. So
Mm.
I decided to take up the owner manager position, and I asked my team like, what do you guys need from me? What can I do here? And they all asked for a second team because getting scrims wasn't um, the most easy thing to do with somebody that was equally skilled. So you could go to RFS and get bodied, um, or face like some low level teams from chair league, and it was just not. The scrims were always really difficult for us, and
Right.
Psycom was always a great experience, and why I kept coming back to you.
Yeah.
Um, but we felt that getting a second team was really beneficial, so we picked up two of the members from former Psycom
Mm.
and found some people on ladder, and it's working out well so far. I'm happy with it. Um, Again, that's still in trial, so that's
Yeah.
not anything. The players aren't permanent, but we're gonna try and keep two teams going at the same time.
Yeah, because wasn't it like Miasma White's like first time
Yep.
together, more or less?
Yep.
Yeah, and they're really impressive. So I'm looking forward to see um how those guys shape up.
Yeah.
So plenty of exciting things ahead for Miasma eSports. Definitely a mainstay in the chair league scene. They've shown up in a number of the Heroes United things, and now that they're working on two teams, thanks Renicus. Um, yeah, they're definitely a set of teams to watch out for. You guys were in the qualifiers too this past weekend.
Yeah, we were. That was a really fun experience because this was the first time we felt like we could make some headway into the qualifiers, looking at the bracket, and we did. You know, it was kind of the whole thing was very exciting, so to speak. We had Calidor come in the lobby and hold us hostage, and uh, no, but really, like I didn't really understand the whole thing. Really, we were just kind
Yeah,
of doing whatever the admins told us to do. We weren't trying to step on anybody's toes there, so we just
right.
sat there for like 30 minutes
Yeah,
about,
that it was an interesting start, but
and
once the
then
games actually got underway, it was really cool.
yeah, they were super fun to watch. I like those games were actually fun to watch for
Yeah,
Heroes.
like I sent a tweet out. I was like, this is this. I had more excitement than like NFL Sunday because I was just like, we got a whole afternoon of just
Yeah.
the amateur scene, the professional team showing up. Like it was really cool.
The
So I have
sec
high hopes for the other ones.
and it was cool because like we Twitch chat was kind of like bashing on us, five no names, like bronze 5 team league teams showing up, and it was really cool to just win that whole series. And the second game was so exciting. Got the core down to 2%. Then they came
Oh
back,
man,
and it was cool though. It was really good to prove everybody wrong that we're not just a bunch of no names and that this roster has some potential. And then we faced Crescendo, who made us look silly, but that's okay.
I mean that's a pretty stacked team in and of itself. But
It is.
one of the things that I really love the timing for all this is because it's exactly like you said. Like you guys surprised a lot of people watching those games.
Yeah.
And something that I say every time I get to cast any of the amateur tournaments, like the Hot United, or like even the professional division in chair league, is like the amateur scene. It's not like it was 6 months ago. Like
Oh,
teams like yours show up. Like it is very stiff competition, very precise play, and I think it's great for the scene because it means whoever does make it to the lands are just going to be that much stronger. So as viewers, we're going to see some very exciting stuff, and I think this time next year, NA is going to be one of the top scenes. I really think that it's going to be thanks
yeah.
to teams like yours. So Always cool to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you look at the progress that, I mean, granted, Fox Nihili has a lot of players that have formerly been qualified, I guess, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. They're cool. They're good. Like they're making a rise. Um, the amateur scene is getting tougher and tougher, and that's the thing that we had to just keep remembering in our heads is, when we're losing in scrims or something, like the scene has gotten so much better in terms of raw skill, in my opinion. So
Mm.
you just have to keep that in mind and keep pushing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely nothing to be discouraged about because, like we were saying, like the amateur scene, it's not just like, some guys casually showing up. Like, there's a good amount of practice and precision that goes into the amateur scene these days. And speaking of practice and stuff like that, the first thing that I wanted to jump into tonight is our continued discussion of the PTR. Bleedies and I started. We went through the lion's share of the patch notes, but like we said before we started, like you and I were talking before we started the episode. You've had a pretty good amount of time on the PTR, so I was just curious to hear what your overall opinion was and what you think we as a community should be on the lookout for.
Right. So I would say the biggest change is the minions. The minions' damage is doubled against structures. Now, why is this important is a really good question. So when you're in your HL or your quick match or whatever, what have you,
Mm.
you kind of just push a lane and then you go to the objective as 5 because really your minions aren't going to do that much. If they just collapse in the middle of the lane, that's fine. You don't
Right.
want them to push sometimes because you want to just come back and get the XP soak all over again. So now that is no longer the case. Pushing with minions is going to be very, very good, or just pushing the lane so minions are stacking, or not stacking, but crashing into the walls or structures and letting them do damage because their damage is really potent now. Like it's very visceral how much damage they do in your game. It's pretty exciting, and it's making a lot of heroes viable. Like Zag with Nidus is absolutely insane on PTR, not just because of it is because of the passives that they just like threw in there to make it really good, but the ability for her to split push now is even more potent, and it's good. And she still has
Yeah.
really good team fight presence because if you take corpse feeders at level 1, which is the reduced non-heroic damage on roaches and reduces your bile drop by 3 seconds in the level 7 quest talent for your E,
Yeah.
you're doing 750, 800 bile drops at level 16 to 20. Like, though, on like a 7-second cooldown, that's really good. Like, team fight presence is
Yeah.
still there, and the pressure's on from Zag and Gazlo too. They buffed his Robo Goblin ultimate from 150 to 200.
Mm-hmm.
Like the split push heroes, you're gonna see time and time again. And another huge change is the catapults. The catapults fixating on structures is giant. Like before, you would have catapults kind of pushing, and if there wasn't a wave, an enemy wave crashing into you, then they'll push structures, and it's really good. You'd have to have like 3 or 4 catapults on the core to actually maybe have winions.
Yeah.
That's kind of almost no longer the case with the increased range. Like you can have your waves pushed in more, and catapults are going to be doing so much work on the core and other structures. Like it's really good. So that's the biggest change, in my opinion, to the game. It's almost akin to the scaling buffs that Blizzard put out half a year ago about.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways it's more of a big deal than the scaling buffs because the priorities didn't really shift, in
Yeah.
my opinion, with the scaling buffs. Like, the roles of the heroes and the overall meta was still, in my opinion, very team fight oriented.
Yes.
It's just the numbers got shifted around. With something like this, the whole way you approach the game has to change because of heroes like Zagara and because of all these other split push mainstays that are now just going to be empowered. Like I've played a handful of games on PTR. We did a couple of hero games at the end of last episode.
Yeah.
And it was like anytime a lane got abandoned, you would lose a fort like out of nowhere, and you're just like,
how did this happen?
oh, like we were fighting for that, and then we just lost like everything in the bottom lane. Like it's just going to be a very big change in how people are the game. I'm looking back at some of the chat. Arenicus, the at least Golden is confirmed for tomorrow. I would imagine everything else is going to go in along with that, for better or for worse. I agree, Former Sonic. I think the minion changes, I like the idea of it because I think for a long time team fighting has been so the emphasis in Heroes of the Storm. And I like that, but it does kind of leave heroes, that are more siege oriented kind of out in the dust or out in the cold, so to speak. So to offer that viability of saying like, hey, we can draft for split pushing, and it actually is not a death sentence. Like, I think that's going to have a very big impact on how teams at the competitive level and down to Hero League are going to approach drafting and prioritization because, Sylvanas and Zul got a lot of play in the earlier parts of drafts, but now you got to consider, you have to legitimately consider Gazlo, which is, like
it's gonna be such a strange feeling.
Yeah, and then like Azmodan, we talked about him some last week, but now he has some really viable, some potential. So it's almost like there's going to be the potential for a team to reliably have at least one really heavy siege. Yeah. And you also need to have kill potential or a team would benefit from it because you need to be able to rotate down and punish that if it happens. Or you need to enable that yourself. Like, if you rotate down, let's say Sky Temple comes in. And this is something I've seen you guys do. The temples will activate. Yep. You guys rotate down in the bottom lane and blow somebody up, like, before the temples actually pop. With this new meta, you can leave someone down there. Or, in a lot of ways, I think you're going to be able to just, like, ignore the objective in some cases and just push the hell out of that lane.
Yeah.
And do damage that you just would not have done otherwise. And that's going to just be a huge way to change how you look at the game.
Yeah, no, you're completely correct in the fact that pushing is going to... The way people head and approach objective is going to be a lot different, in my opinion, after this patch. And you'll see this most in the competitive scene. And then, as with everything, trickles down. But,
right.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, Renica says heroes with no wave clear are now more of a drag than before, and yeah, heroes like Tyrande, it's kind of rip. It's kind of rip for that. Like, you have to have some kind of serviceable. Like, if you're gonna take a hero like Tyrande, you need like a Johanna or someone that can just like make up for that.
I think there's something to be said about those different heroes, though, like the PKers, the people killers. It's really interesting because you have somebody that doesn't wave clear, but they're exceptional at killing a hero. The perfect example to go to is Nova. I think you'll see some of those heroes that are really good at chasing down somebody one-on-one and killing them rise to the top with a split push comp. So say Nova and you have Gazelle on your team that's splitting. So you're on Garden of the Tear and the Tear pops at level 12 or whatever, and you have your 4 go to the Garden Tear and get seeds, and then Gaz is pushing. Having Nova on your team is actually kind of a benefit because she can deal with that split that Gazlo is doing right there. And I'm not saying to take triple tap, but in this situation, I think triple tap might have some benefits to it, in that you can send Nova down and take care of Gazlo, and Gazlo doesn't have any way to get away from Nova, really. Like, it's hard for Gazlo to get away. He can place a turret, but if she's got triple tap, you're done. Like, in PTR, that was probably the most annoying thing to deal with. And there is also the other heroes like Zeratul or even Illidan would accomplish the same thing. But it just, you might see those kind of heroes rise in popularity to deal with those split pushes.
I definitely agree. Like there's gonna be so many different facets to this.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking over the chat. The win says Zeratul's greater than Nova though, because at least Zera has wave clear. And yeah, I would agree with that. Especially if you like Vorpal Blade at 4 would allow Zeratul to reliably chase down a hero like Gazlo. But I think if there's like a Chromie or something like that involved, like I don't know, Nova. I think in most cases I'd probably take Zeratul over Nova, but
Yeah.
those like assassin, you make a really good point, Reno. Like
Yeah.
those heroes that are designed to just delete a hero will be something of a skill check for the enemy team, because if they don't rotate down to either catch that open lane or receive some of that soak, you're gonna get punished and bodied for it a lot more
Yeah.
than you would have in the past. And I think that's gonna be something of a double-edged sword, because if you rotate and you know really invest in it, it doesn't pan out. Now that these minions have more of an impact, like you have to come away with some kind of value out of those decisions. But those are decisions that I feel you need to make.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, Lord Boo, you obviously go precision strike for the wave clear.
Oh yeah.
Kappa.
Kappa.
And yes, yeah, I mean Chromie's gonna see some play. He's seen some play. And also FMJ is going. But yeah, definitely is going to be a really big, the added minion potential. Are there any other heroes that you can think of, or in your experience that will fall off significantly because of this patch, Reno?
I think overall you're just gonna see team comps shift a little bit. Like, it's gotten so you have, before all the stun nerfs, like you would see team comps go the same thing. Chain CC. That's all you do. High tier teams, that's all they ran, was something that you can just chain CC and heavy gank comps. That's what that was.
Right.
Then the stuns got nerfed, and then you see a little bit more consistent damage of like blowing somebody up. Instead of stunning them, you just go for straight damage. And that's where you see this whole double support comp to counter that. So you have Tassadar in our game against Crescendo. This is perfect. So we tried having a comp that could blow somebody up, but then they went Tass and Uther, and they would just de-shield or shield Glarong every time. And that happens for anybody on the team. So you get into this kind of weird meta where team fights get like, it's a matter of blowing CDs, and that's why Illidan's so good. That Illidan's just so slippery and elusive, and he makes you blow CDs, and then you lick your wounds, and then you go back in, and that's when an Illidan comp wins the fight, is making you blow those CDs and then going back in. It's difficult, and the team fight comps, it always came down to just a singular team fight at the end and whether or not you had a win condition.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to bring a lot of fresh gameplay and a lot of creative ideas to the Heroes of the Storm scene, and I'm really, really loving it right now.
That's good that you have a favorable opinion of it. Like some people aren't as enamored. I'm still on the fence. I'm excited for it because, like you said, it is going to definitely shake things up. Yeah. I think for the longest time, the meta as a whole has been the widest it's ever been. Because, like, 6 months ago, every draft at the competitive level was, like, the same 12 heroes. Like,
yeah.
And it's pretty much just, like, what order do you want to take them? But now, like, there's something of an argument to be made for almost every hero in the game. Like, yeah. They may not be, like, you know, S tier, but you can definitely get value pretty much out of everyone.
I think that's like the reason for that is just the hero pools, or not the hero pool has grown, you know? Like the famous example, it's not famous maybe, but Butcher and Medivh, like that combo is because I love playing Butcher. You probably casted me playing Butcher. I love him. Like he's a great hero. Um, but he has some really huge flaws that are just like glaring, you know?
Right.
And Medivh just takes care of pretty much all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Butcher can only go in, but when he has a portal out from the team fight from a bad engage, then yay, like everything's all good
Right.
again. Um, just those kind of interactions are making all sorts of heroes way more viable, and the more heroes that come out, the more excited I get. So um, we will we will see more heroes coming up, and I think and back to your original point of like some people aren't finding this favorable. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of the professional players or somebody at the high competitive scene likes how it is where you just mechanically outskill somebody and then there's no real thought to the macro. Like there is real thought to macro play, don't get me wrong, but there isn't as in-depth macro play as some of the other things or other MOBAs, and I think they have become complacent with that,
Mm-hmm.
and they like that. Now this is going to force a lot of people to really think about strategy, and it's going to give certain teams that weren't necessarily that great probably an edge over some of these like god tier teams. So it'll be super interesting, I think, because teams are going to have to think about that macro now, like pushing lane and wave management, like clearing 3 archers. I bet I'm not going to bet, but there there's
Don't be scared. Don't bet.
probably a lot of players that don't know if you kill the archer minions and you let the melee minions, albeit they have the more XP soak,
Mm.
if you kill all the archers, it actually builds your wave up bigger and will allow you to have a bigger minion wave to crash into whatever structure um, it goes into. So like just those tiny details into the macro play will matter a lot more in my opinion than it usually does. And maybe it'll get pointed out more. I don't know. I think that play should be rewarded though.
I legitimately have never even thought about doing that. Like leaving the minion, half the wave up to create a wave. The closest thing I had ever heard to that was I mentioned this last week I think, but Dreadnought made a video a while ago about Cursed Hollow,
Mhm.
about like letting a fort stay at like half health during the curse,
Okay.
and then while your minions just beat on that stuff and like clears out the minion wave, by the time the curse is over, you just have this like mob, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is going to just be insane. But another really good point that you brought up, and I think it's going to really require the professional level of probably all the scenes to really adjust how they approach getting ready for these next tournaments. It seems very insular and inclusive how the top 8 teams scrim each other.
Yeah.
And as far as complacency goes, I mean, what better way to fall into that rut than to play the same people over and over again, and you get a sense of, for example, Glaurung's really good on Zeratul or Illidan. Like, I might want to consider banning one of them out. Or Tomster's really good on Greymane, so I might want to try to ban them out. The way the meta is going because of this patch, you can't look at the game through a narrow lens like that anymore. It forces you to broaden
Yeah.
what not only you can bring to the table, but what you have to be ready to defend against. Because there's going to be so many different tactics now that weren't viable before that can win the game now.
Yeah, no, you're completely correct. And I mean like that's how professional teams really power through draft too, is that the most interesting thing drafting against Crescendo was that our coach said, Short Steve, I didn't know how to draft against them because really we're on Infernal Shrines, and if we give Glaurung Zul crap, like that's one of Glaurung's best heroes, but then we
Right.
give K1 Pro KT, like you really are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it makes drafting against those teams interesting, but then you can have with this new change that you might have your own power pick of say somebody's super good at split push gas, like he just knows all the tips and tricks to really get that annoyance factor up to 11. And yeah, that's honestly I hope where it goes, where you can just expand your pool into something really cool, and it's not just revolving all around team fights.
It's gonna be really exciting. Um, One of the things that I know is gonna tilt me more than anything, and I'm probably gonna like legitimately get frustrated. Like if I go up against a split push Gazlo and then I rotate try to get them and then they sprint away.
Yes.
Seeing Gazlo sprint is just like one of
Yes.
the most aggravating things.
Yes,
And
it
it's
is.
just like you rotate down there and you show up out of the bush or whatever, and he's just like scuttles off and you lose your fort or your keep, and it's just like
So
you
funny
jerk.
story about that. Axe Maxta
Uh-huh.
probably had one of before Gazlo's quote unquote remake. He just took literally all the generic talents. I'm not even kidding you. And Robo Goblin. He took all of them. And it was the most annoying game it had to have been for the other team because he just had Merklord. He had Sprint, Hardened Shield. Like you could not kill the Gazlo, and he would just
Oh my god,
constantly
man.
split push, and it was great. He just called it all generics, and it was a rough game, but we won. It was just hilarious.
Let me ask you a question, Reno, because
Sure.
some people in the Phantom Puppy, how's it going? Some people who aren't really looking forward to the specialist meta, and again, like I said, I'm still on the fence. I like that the game will be more open, but
Hmm.
I don't know if the pendulum has swung too far in a
Yeah.
certain direction. But here's a composition that I would like your
Okay.
Uther, Asmodan, Zul, Sylvanas, Murden.
Interesting. Hmm. I'm really uncertain of going too far. You know what I mean? Um, you bring up an interesting point that some of the specialists, like maybe you can create enough pressure all around the lanes that like it's too much and you're just going to lose.
Right.
Um, However, I think that we're still going to have that team fight factor in there where it's going to. That comp is interesting the more I'm thinking about it.
Well, what's interesting to me about it is that like there are specialists that do assassin levels of damage. It might not
Yeah,
necessarily be the most burst kind of damage outside of like Asmodan if he goes for stacks or whatever,
yeah,
but they do the job serviceably enough now to where there's something of an argument to be made for a half assassin specialist that can do all kinds of split pushing now that this has just been
yeah.
so much enabled with these changes. It's gonna be interesting. I think in some instances, triple specialist is gonna like just look broken.
We'll see. We'll see about that because I know that you have a good point about that. That Sylve and some of the other specialists do warrant enough damage that like they're on par with some of the assassins. But I think that with, I mean, even the changes to Greymane and Lunara, like they're going to be doing damage and a lot of it. And especially Greymane, he's going to be bonkers
Well,
this patch.
so last week, during the discussion we were going through the the patch list, we talked about Greenman for a little while, and I've been trying this build that I think could very well become the new standard.
Okay.
So at level 1, viciousness, the one that adds it for adds the inner beast for another second, and then abilities
Okay.
refresh the cooldown. Eyes in the dark at 4,
Hmm.
the duelist talent at 7,
Okay.
marked for the kill
Okay.
at 10. The I think it's unfettered assault, the extended range on the Worgen Q at 13, and then this new talent Eager Wolf at 16,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Worgen Cleave at 20. I played this a handful of times over the week since the last episode,
Mm-hmm.
and once you latch on to somebody, they just don't get away, and they're just vulnerable the entire time, or like they try to engage on you, like they have like a Murden or an Anubrak or something, and they jump in.
Yeah.
You put Mark for the kill on them, and the front line either has to retreat or they're gonna die because they're gonna have vulnerability on them as long as they stay there. But with the extended Q range, you're just chasing after them. Like they're not escaping.
Yeah.
Like it's really messed up. I don't know if you've tried anything along those lines yourself, but it's funny.
Yeah. So I pretty much it was so funny that when Greymane came out, I used the build that is in the meta right now.
Mm.
And I really liked it. I thought Quicksilver Bullets was really cool. You effectively become Rainer with on the prowl, like on the prowl, but Rainer that can like jump in and burst somebody within like less than a second and a half.
Right.
I think Eager Wolf is only going to make it better with that build. I think that's the build that people are going to go for, is that so you go oh man, the level 1 is really escaping me. Wolfheart.
Yeah, the one that lowers the cooldowns.
Yeah, so you have Wolfheart, and then Eyes in the Dark, and then Quicksilver or Wizened. It depends on what you really want to go for. That whole, I'm not going to try and do Electron Greymane, but that talent tier is really interesting. So you either go for Quicksilver to really just do what Greymane's supposed to do and really get that poke in and then close, or Wizened Duelist where you just have so much attack damage that it does not matter, and you have like an Uther or a Task there, and you're not going to die. Then at 10, okay, so that's really cool too, though. I really liked Marked for the Kill now, kind of. I think Over the Throat will probably still be the staple, but I think against a double warrior comp or something, that having that vulnerable indefinitely on somebody, what? Like that's...
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the game like that right now.
Yeah.
Like, to have that on a 50-second cooldown, you know, they increased the damage of Go for the Throat. And I'm actually looking in the chat. And yeah, I don't know, can you, like, turn your camera off and on again or something? Cause
yeah.
it froze for the...
Oh, man.
Well, I'm looking through the chat. Phantom Puppy makes a really cool point. He said, I think it's interesting they're buffing a bursty hero on a split push meta, you know, to gank and punish the split. And also added in that they're buffing Kerrigan as well. And I honestly didn't even consider that. I didn't... It's good that they are enabling some of these heroes to potentially punish, you know, these cheekier Gazlos that feel they're just gonna, like, split the lanes the whole time. But, oh, God. Oh, what's going on?
I apologize, but my computer is just wonking out right now.
Oh, no problem, man.
I really hate to do this, but can I do a fresh restart here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I apologize greatly. It's like
not a problem,
freaking
man.
out right now. I'm surprised you can even hear me. I will be right back in like a couple seconds.
Sure. No problem. So Renal will be right back. Yeah, so that gives... I'll look over some of the patch notes. We can jump into the Zagara we can jump into the Zagara and Tyrael discussion. I'll switch that over now. So yeah, I really do like the idea of taking these heroes, and it might even put heroes like Greymane and Kerrigan towards the end of a draft, because it's like if someone shows that card too early that they're gonna try to do this like crazy split push setup, responding to that by taking these like gank heroes now would be a really good thing. Veronicus asks, do you think the Greymane buff is too much? don't know if it was too much, but I think that there are other heroes that could have used that kind of attention more, and then as a whole, that would have brought more to the game. Like, Greymane is already, like, he's been able to do burst damage. Like, he's been able to delete people for a while. So to give him what, you know, I feel is such a significant buff, it's almost like diminishing returns on what overall impact it's going to have. But then there's heroes like Nazebo that I think, or like Butcher, that I think could be made more well-rounded and you know, give them more, you know, justifiable reasons to take them. If they put that energy there, I think overall the game would have improved. But I don't think Greymane is necessarily broken. He's just probably the best melee assassin right now, in my opinion. Forehead Nazebo. So I hope that answers the question, Irenicus. Before we go into Zagara, I wanted to have Renal here for that, because he's played Zagara a lot more than I have. Oh yeah, you're welcome, Irenicus. I did want to talk about Tyrael, though. This is a hero that we didn't exactly get a chance to get to in last week's episode, just because there's so many things going on. Lord Boo says, it's annoying that they keep coming back to heroes that don't need to be changed and overlooking heroes that need to be changed. And yeah, that's a large part of the point I was trying to make, Lord Boo, and you just said it in a much more concise way. Like, there are some heroes that are kind of twisting in the wind, so to speak, as far as, you know, being viable in a competitive sense. So for Greymane to kind of get the changes he has, it's kind of like he was in a good spot. Like, and they even said that in the patch notes, like, oh, Greymane's in a great spot, so we're just gonna like make him better. And it's like okay, like you can, but I don't know if we need to do that. But never wins, never, Kappa. But so yeah, Tyrael's in something of an interesting place now. After and yeah, Phantom Puppy, Murky. I forget Murky even exists. Like, the energy they put in the Greymane, if they put that in the Murky, especially with this whole split push meta, like, I feel like Murky's sitting on the outside of this new split push meta. Like, hey, like guys, like, hey, but no one's really considering him in that capacity. So it's just funny. But Tyrael is in an interesting place. I was looking over some of his talents, and I never realized. Let me see if I can. I never realized this was a thing. So let me switch over to the game. And yeah, alright, so that's showing now. So Tyrael. Am I wrong, or is it this talent's been here like forever? Protection and death. When Archangel's Wrath explodes, shield nearby allies for 50% of their max health for 5 seconds. I did not know that this was a thing. And I was like, I guess I was just so used to taking Regeneration Master that I never even thought to look at something like this. Okay, the wind says it got a huge buff. Yeah, because I was like, this has such implications in a team fight and just changes the whole way you put value in Tyrael's trait that, I mean, this in and of itself is huge. Like, it's crazy to me. So I'm curious to see how impactful someone's going to be able to make use of this. Because think about it, like, you got Greymane, like this new Greymane. You guys dive in super heavy. You throw in Sanctification. Gives Greymane all kinds of time to, you know, delete people and whatever else. Sanctification comes off. Tyrael uses his W, kind of shield Greymane up a little bit. Tyrael positions himself in a way that he's going to die first. Greymane follows, you know, Tyrael's ghost. And then not only does Tyrael blow up and do a bunch of damage to people, but now Greymane has half his health as a shield for 5 seconds. Like, by the time all of that plays out, a dive heavy comp will have steamrolled a team fight. Like, that's to have that at level 1. Yeah, the win says I already want to run Greymane, Sonya, and Tyrael together, and that, like, stuff like that is going to be very, very much consideration. Welcome back.
Yo,
Got
I'm
Renal back
now.
everyone.
Oh, brand new and shiny.
We were just talking about Tyrael.
Okay.
Because I did not realize that the level 1 talent got the buff that it did. Where, like, when he explodes, the people in the explosion on his team get 50% of their health.
Yeah.
Like, that that is just going to be huge. California, how you doing?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's for sure interesting. Like, I'm not sure how that's going to. It's an interesting talent. Globes are pretty good too, though. That tier, you know.
Yeah. So it's just gonna be interesting. I believe, at least in like the Chinese meta, that talent is going to see a lot of play. If anything, because they are so aggressive in how they play the game. And I before you came back, I was making a hypothetical of having like Greymane and the winds throwing Sonya in there as well. But, like, you know, Tyrael dives in. By the time Sanctification and the shields and everything are done, you've done so much damage that if Tyrael dies first, giving those two half their health for a shield for 5 seconds is like a win button, more or less.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right.
But I switched over to the patch notes. I'm looking at Tyrael. We haven't talked about Zagara yet because I specifically want to have you there for that. Okay. So they upped the damage for Tyrael's talent. So not only is the shield going to come into play, but now it's going to be more impactful because, you know, it's adding almost 100 damage, which is going to scale pretty well, all considered, going in the late game like that. You don't want to stand in it.
Yeah.
They've reduced the cooldown on the Q and W, and I feel like, I mean, I don't even know why they said they increased the damage, like the shield from 319 to 320, like, really? But lowering that by 2 seconds on W and then a second on his Q with battle momentum, and I mean, Smite's getting lowered as well, like, he's gonna be all over the place.
He's an interesting pickup for sure, and I think he's definitely underutilized in NA. I like him a lot. I think he's a really cool hero, but I don't like heroes that have a passive that when you die it does something. It's just never. The only cool thing about Uther is that he comes back at level 20. That's the good thing. But, like, notoriously, in MOBAs that their passive has something when they die, they're usually abandoned for the most part because their kit has to make up at some point for them not dying, you know? Like, they never die. You shouldn't be punished for not dying. So their kit has to make up somewhere in there, and it's just, I don't know. It gets kind of annoying, I guess. But
it's gonna be interesting because for the longest time, I 100% agree. Like, I feel like you're intentionally trying to fail almost by relying on traits that are as, you know, relying on dying more or less. Like, I don't want to do all that. But when they have the implications that these can have with Tyrael, like, if it happens, I mean, he in a lot of ways, he is kind of like that offensive Uther now, where it's like I'm almost intentionally trying to get myself killed as counterintuitive.
Honestly, I would just love to see a level 20 on Tyrael where it's exactly like Uther, where
he blows up, like, puts on shields, and comes back.
No, you just suicide bomb yourself. Like, you just fucking Q into the team, you die, and then he's just sitting there like, okay, I'm just gonna chase you around like that. It's so much teamfight discoordination, and then boom, you're up, and you got holy ground still and everything. I don't know. I think that would be really cool, but we'll see. I don't know. I think these changes are really good.
Mhm.
Um, and I know they lowered the cooldowns on all of his base abilities to make up for angelic momentum.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if the damage boost to his trait is enough to really warrant like how Uther is kind of avoided for a first pick target in team fights. We'll see.
Yeah, and Lord Boo actually just mentioned that. Like, if you watch pro games, they actually ignoring
Oh,
Uther with 10%.
yeah,
Yeah, like, so that element, especially, at the competitive play, like watching, what the talents the enemy team takes, knowing that if you focus down Tyrael first, like, the rest of the team's gonna get that much shielding,
yeah,
like, it's definitely going to discourage you from focusing on him. And if you're on the team that has tier, like, you can really play that to your advantage. Like,
yeah.
with these cooldown reductions, I think we're gonna see Tyrell's numbers start to go up in terms of the damage that he does. Like, maybe not a ton, but he's gonna straddle that fence of, like, we should ignore him because once he blows up, it's going to have a really big
Ooh,
impact on his
yeah.
team fight. But we can't exactly let him stand here and slap us in the face all day either. Like,
Yeah.
it's really going to require some split second decision on what to prioritize when. And that's a dynamic that not many heroes really offer right now. Like, in most compositions, you'll see, like, Greymane the person we should blow up first. Like,
Yeah.
we take Greymane out or we take Li Ming out, a lot of their damage just went out the window.
Yeah.
But he's approaching that, like, Tassadar level of focus where it's like we're throwing cooldowns on Tassadar at our own peril, because if we don't get that kill, we're kind of in a tough spot. And then he's, again, like you said, he's approaching the Uther territory. It's like, well, if we get the kill, we kind of just, like, judo moved ourselves because we're at a disadvantage now. So I'm curious to see. Can I zoom in a bit? You want to see my face?
Yeah, man. They want to see that beautiful Halloran face.
They want to see the space. All right, let me see. Production value.
Production, yeah, production value for sure.
I'm trying. All right. Now I gotta crop this. Oh my god. All right. I kind of botched this, but whatever.
It doesn't matter. Production value.
Just know that I tried. I tried. So there.
Oh,
zoom in on the wrecked. All right, I can do that. That's easy. I did all that.
Rip.
Oh damn! They don't want to see my face. You know what?
It's tough, man. It's tough.
There we go. Fixed.
So yeah, I think Tyrael will be in a better place. Honestly, with the whole so it's not stated in the patch notes, but all of his base abilities were downgraded, or not downgraded. The CDs were reduced. So with that, it just makes it so you don't have to attack with Tyrael, because they just did all the work for you baseline. He'll be in a better place, in my opinion. The only thing that really changes, though, is his level 7, pretty much, if he's in a tanking role.
And the win says he's in a better place now. Feels bad. At least he's got the trait. He's got the trait now. So.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely be better in terms of how he'll perform, but how effective he'll be remains to be seen.
There's one thing I really want to see out of a really skilled Tyrael. Like, it'd bring a tear to my eye.
Okay.
Is this new talent at 16 for
okay. I know exactly what you're going to say.
It increases the attack speed by 50%
yes.
for 5 seconds. Like, you take battle momentum with that. If you can find yourself not needing holy ground, like, holy crap. Like,
well, you can't take battle momentum anymore. They took it
away.
Oh,
no, you can't?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Angelic momentum is RIP. Yep.
Oh no, my whole theory just went out the window
No,
for
but
good.
there was an interesting build that Axmax to win. You can always leave it to him to find up something really hilarious and bad, or hilarious and good. So he went Searing Strikes at 7.
Uh
Then he went at level 13 the Angelic Might talent, and then he took Blade of Justice.
oh.
And the
I,
T what?
I need this. I need to look at this so I can get my.
So the TLDR of it is for 5 auto attacks if you smite the whole enemy team is you'll be doing 80% more damage. But when he tried it out, basically all he said was your mana goes away really quick. And that's about it. So, um, yeah, great build.
Yeah, that would be
But if you ever are in HL and it just rando picked you Tyrael for some reason, and you already got a really tanky tank, and you need more damage, somebody's trolling you, and
damn.
you feel bad, man, just go this build.
Yeah, I wanna see that in action. Like every episode, like some unusual or interesting build comes up in random conversation, and that one is that for me.
Yeah.
I want to try that out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be it'll be an interesting talent once it goes live. But for I know that you wanted to talk about Zagara. I was
Yeah,
on
I
my
actually
phone
just
while I was
switched over there.
resetting. Um,
So what are your thoughts on the new Zagara?
so Zag is really, 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 really good. I like her a lot. Um, Zag is she's the hero I always wanted her to be, kind of, if that makes any sense. I really like the new functionality on her Baneling Barrage that you can aim each individual Baneling. I think that's awesome. I really like that. Because most of the time when you would queue, it was almost worth it just not to queue at all
Right.
because you become stationary when you do that as Zag, and you just kind of sit there and you can't move. You can't just like you can't attack move with it. You just sit there and wait to get pummeled on. Um, so now this is way better. They up the damage for it, like everything. It doesn't have health. You can't kill them. Like it goes through. It can't be body blocked, by the way. So that
Right.
I think it's great. Um,
She has like a semi-automatic gun now with
yeah,
her Q. It's kind of funny.
no, it's definitely, especially if you go Nidus. Yeah, it definitely becomes a semi-auto gun. Um, Hunter killer damage down is I don't know. It stinks, but really, actually,
I
you know
feel.
what? Everybody can read. Everybody can read the patch notes. I'll just give a TLDR
Yeah.
on how I feel about her. Is that her split pushing has gone absolutely through the roof. She's definitely very effective. If you choose to do that playstyle with Zagara, you need to be absolutely cognizant of the map and where the enemy heroes are from now on because Nidus is interrupted by damage. Um, so that's where it becomes really important that you know where the enemy team is at all times so you can like scurry away and be that nuisance that you need to be. Um, her laning, she is no longer the oh my god, Zagara, we need to pick Thrall or Chen right now. Her laning is not that great. She'll be pretty on par with Greymane in that there is no regen for her, but she is going to be doing damage to you. So if you're against the Thrall, as Zag feels bad, man. You're just gonna get bullied out, like it always kind of was. But you had Creep to kind of sit on and regen some of the health that Lightning Bolt took away, or Chain Lightning took away. So, um, yeah, it's just like it. Zag is definitely going to be a lot of pushing, pushing, and I think the team fight presence. Um, the team fight presence is definitely what she'll bring along with the split. That Mutalisk is still going to be really good, and um, she can still output all the damage without Maw. Maw effectively got nerfed because it doesn't clump them all into the center. Um, it just it's like VP now. The area in which it sucks everybody in it was increased, but it just brings you back up to where you were, so it doesn't bunch you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an effective nerf. Overall, Nidus Network just received. They put so much stuff into it now that it's just the best. Like it is just absolutely the best. Like it's they gave her back battle momentum, which I loved. I loved battle momentum on her. I never took rapid incubation. Endless creep was only sometimes on like Tomb of the Spider Queen when I absolutely needed um, vision to make sure that I could block a turn in or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, now we got that all bunched in pretty much. There's so many passives that they gave back to her that she's nuts. She's gonna be nuts, and I'm super excited to play her in ladder. She'll probably be banned all the time,
Yeah, I
like all the
mean,
time.
I don't see how she makes it to the second ban phase. Whether she's picked or banned herself, like
Yeah.
the new level 1 infest, like
So
nearby range minions were already buffed, so now they're doing more.
so here's the really interesting part about Zag is that the level 1 talent tier is super competitive in my opinion.
Mm.
So on the patch notes, you can read that at level 1 she has corpse feeders. They increased the damage reduction on her roaches, so it's now 40% damage reduction instead of 30,
Mm.
and it reduces the cooldown of infested drop by 3 seconds. Its base CD is crud. You cannot see that on here. However, 3 seconds. I think it's like 7 seconds or something. And at level 7, there's a new quest that increases its damage, the drop, by. It was a 13 talent. It got moved. Bile drop. So it was moved to level 7. Bonus damage decreased from 100 to 50. Um, but there's a quest tagged onto it now. So it gives you a baseline 50, and then you just have to hit 10 heroes with it, and you'll get to 150 bonus damage on it. And it increases the radius by 20%. This is really, really good. The
Like,
damage on Bile Drop is insane. It's really good.
what
Like
the heck?
it's always been overlooked whether or not people like hit the Bile Drops or not.
Mm.
This thing's like a Li Ming orb now that is way easier to land. It's really, really good. I'm all for it, and that's where Corpse Feeders comes into play at level 1, and why I think it might be better than the new Infest, because your early game becomes so much better with Corpse Feeders. All you do is you go to the enemy towers, constantly drop your E on top of it. Their ammo will go through like that. Like in PTR, that's all I did. I just bullied the crap out of my enemy hero, bile dropped on the wall, and the ammo was done in like 3 drops. They just soak
That's
so much tower shots. Like it is insane. Um,
Arenicus asks, will these Zag changes make her picked above Sylvana Shazul? And I would submit to you, my friend, that the argument that Renal's making right now, put that answer in the yes column for me.
yeah, it's tough. That's actually that's interesting because so Zool and Sylv have very very different functionalities where if I would say over Sylv on like Infernal Shrines, if the towers would the towers and structures would target the roaches over
Mm.
over like the Punisher. So like say you bile dropped and the Punisher's right on top of the keep and the keep automatically goes to the roaches, then yeah, she would basically serve the same function as Sylv and be doing all of her annoying stuff on top of it. Um, then I
And
would
then
say
she just goes to the other part of the map.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So
she's gonna be some worry about
that's
that.
that's an interesting question. I think that Zool will probably not make it through most of the time still because of his ability to double soak. So she can't clear a wave like instantly like Zool can. It literally takes him about 2 seconds. A scythe and a W is all it takes to clear a wave. For Zag, that is not the case, and at 4 and 7, Zool can have infinite sustain past that. Where double pushing is just a constant, and then he shows up to team fights. Really good. I think Zag will serve a very different purpose than Zool, and I think Zool will still be really good. They're all really good. Like all the specialists are going to be pretty good. So, but from what I've seen, possession is still not good though. For Sylph, by the way,
Rip.
I know everybody's like, I thought about it too as soon as I read that the minions were changed. But what usually happens is that you possess the archers, and then it's another tower soak shot. It's not doesn't add to the damage because they're in the front of the wave instead of the melee minions. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
So yeah, Renicus, hope that answers the question. I definitely feel like this is the rise of the specialists, so to speak. My personal opinion is that the jury's still out in a lot of ways. One going to be highly prioritized, but Zul and Sylvanas haven't lost anything, and 3 specialists have gained quite a bit out of the upcoming patch in the form of Zagara, Gazlo, and Asmodan. Question I have for you, Renal, before we jump into the hero focus of the week, which would be Lunara.
Cool.
The Asmodan changes, and this is a theory that I posed.
Okay.
The Bleedies and the guys and the folks that were in the chat last week. Asmodan is kind of like the anti-melee assassin.
Yeah.
PTR patch changes. Like the laser talents, I think at 1, 4, and 7 just lend themselves to, like, the moment Illidan or someone dives on them, Asmodan just puts the laser on them, and then the range starts extending. So it's like the longer he stays in there, or whatever melee assassin stays in there, it's at a loss. Like if they're not getting a crazy amount of burst, the value of them being there is just not gonna be there. So would you agree with that general assessment?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you that Asmodan's health pool is so fat that he already does a great job of when Illidan. There's a reason why Illidan's usually not picked against Asmo or against Asmo comps is that he's just not going to do anything. He doesn't really make Asmo pop any of his CDs. He just like sits there and lasers them.
Right.
And will eat his damage gladly because his pool is just so large that it doesn't matter. Well, I think that Master of Destruction will get popularity. Maybe. I don't like how they took away the bonus damage to structures. I think that was the wrong move. I think they should have kept it. But we'll see. Taste for Blood. We will see how that works out. You definitely won't be seeing it in solo queue anymore. With the time window being reduced for a half second. The Sieging Wrath, we had Short Steve, our coach, try it out because he really likes Asmo. He said it was really lackluster. The range that you get isn't worth it.
Which talent are we talking about specifically? I just moved back to the browser.
Yeah. So Sieging Wrath is the other Q talent
Oh,
on level
yeah.
1, where you get 200 damage instead of the 500 from Taste for Blood, but with completing the quest, you get a third of its range increased.
Yeah, this talent felt like, well, I don't think anyone's really gonna stack with me, so I'll just kind of do this.
That's exactly what it is. You want to feel like somewhat potent, but you don't have Joe or like Jaina to help you stack. So there's your talent. um, but again, I don't think you'll see Taste for Blood in solo queue except for the people that were already running it in solo queue.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool. Let's see. So, if anyone else has any questions about, the PTR patch for Renal, obviously feel free to throw them in. I did want to give Renal time to talk about a hero of the week. We normally try to focus on at least one hero. And this week we're going to be talking about Lunara. And for those who have seen me cast, something I always say whenever Lunara gets picked is never trust a big button to smile. That girl is poison. And I always put the smile on my face. But
yeah, Lunara. So I had a love-hate relationship with this hero. So I played her at BlizzCon last year, and I really liked her. Everything felt really smooth. And then when she got released, they had tweaked the attack speed animations, and you could no longer A move if somebody was in your melee range and you got bodied. Because if you can't attack an Illidan or a Zeratul that's right on top of you, you can't slow them to get away. You're a sitting duck. So that felt really bad, and she was really bad for quite a long time. But then they fixed her,
yeah.
and the day she came out like fixed, that's when she was really released, in my opinion. No, I mean it's true. Like
I agree.
Released a subpar hero that had a broken attack animation, and it frustrated me so much because at BlizzCon I loved her. I thought she was the coolest champion, and I was very skeptical because I saw the trailer at BlizzCon. I'm like, a Dryad. Okay, let's see how that works out. But it turned out really cool, and so now how she fits in the meta now is kind of interesting. She functions like a specialist almost that has really high damage.
Well, one thing that's interesting is that they kind of kicked Nature's Culling like in the groin.
They did.
Like I was like, ooh.
But
I mean, I get it, but
looking at the changes that they made on the PTR for her,
yeah,
they're pushing towards Lunara having a Q build.
mm-hmm.
And they're kind of giving her options to not only be a sustained damage dealer with her dot, but being able to really burst somebody down now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem she's always had, is that when you take her in a team fight comp, it's really interesting because there's certain caveats that you need to have in order for her to really shine. So you need to have some sort of slow for 13 at nature, unfair advantage. And that's in a competitive sense. If you're taking Lunara, you absolutely need to have some sort of slow for her to be doing competitive damage.
Yeah.
So that's one caveat that's kind of like annoying almost to have, because she has her own slow and it's 2 seconds. A poison is worth 3 seconds. So it doesn't even
Oh wow.
The slow, the duration is 3 seconds. It's not like it ticks every 3 seconds. But you're not going to get that damage increase for all 3 of those seconds, so it's kind of annoying. But when you have somebody like Jaina that can slow for 6 seconds if you talent into it, or Sylvanas with her overwhelming affliction at 16, or Muradin who's taking T-clap and like slowing literally everybody. And another example, and I found it really interesting, we went up against this comp in Team League. It was Leoric Lunara, and it was really good. Like, their Lunara was dumpstering us, and I couldn't figure out why until I remembered that Leoric's Q slows, and Lunara is going to be attacking whoever's in front of her. She's not like, let's go dive the backline, guys. It's
Right.
whoever's in front of her, you just kind of deal damage, and with your Thornwood Vine, hopefully you can land some sort of some damage on them, press W, and they're bursted down with that dot. But Leoric makes it super easy because his Q's so easy to hit, and it
Yeah.
lasts for quite a long time, that her unfair advantage gets a lot of value. Um, so she's interesting, and you kind of in draft you want to corner them into having to select Uther, um, and that's when she's going to really shine. Is that you can take Thornwood Vine and just use your Q to hit a backline or something, or maybe even flank, and be prepared to run away after that. But you attack the front line, try and get some skill shots on in the back. You W, and Uther has like a 12-second CD to heal with another
Yeah.
8-second W wave that may or may not hit his allies. Lunara is a powerful pick in that situation. One comp that we really came up with that was really, really good was KT and Lunara, and then have a double warrior or double support comp with it.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is you can take backdraft, KT slow, and it's really good.
It
Like,
does sound pretty messed up.
it's really,
Wow.
really good because you have chain bombs and poison dots ticking everywhere. Um, and it's almost impossible to heal through. It's really, really good.
I never even thought of that. Nikita says Uther slash Morales really struggle with AoE poison from Vine. One says, but Uther AoE build will be good to counter her. Yeah, yeah.
You're not
Before we jump further into the Lunara discussion, Lord Boo asked a really interesting question.
Okay.
Unrelated, but said Reno and Lauren, what would you think of the idea of an anti-quest, like a quest that gives you a benefit, but upon completing it, something bad happens?
Ooh.
I think that would be really interesting. I can't think of like an example, but it's almost like, you know, let's say some hero does like a sick amount of burst damage, but the more they use this thing, like the weaker it gets.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you know, I want to kind of save my haymakers or uppercuts or whatever for the right moment, because if I throw them away, then by the late game I'm gonna be like swinging a wet noodle. I don't know how balanced that would or would not be.
I would say that's like a probably a level 20 talent or something, like something that's pretty broken. And then if you fail to use it correctly, then you're punished for it. I think that's
Yeah.
cool. I think that would be really cool. Um,
Yeah, like I don't know enough about Blizzard games to really theorize
yeah.
what hero that concept would gel with. But
Pretty much.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
Lord Boo, I think that'd be a really cool um way to go, and I think it's actually pretty possible. The reason why I say that is Gul'dan is very much like, you know, a hero where you're kind of, it's like a balancing act. You really have to manage your health, you have to manage your mana, and you know, if a player has the skill and understanding of the hero to get the most out of that, like he does a crazy amount of damage. So Blizzard definitely at least has an appetite to create heroes that, you know, have a very different approach to the game and really challenge the player to get the most out of them. Because if you just try to play him like, you know, like a Valor or like just some more generic hero, you're gonna suffer. So I think it could happen. Lord Bruce says, see, I was thinking of it being earlier because if it's a huge power spike, it's one you just in the game. But if someone has a huge power spike of 7 to 13 or 16, they can't use that build at good advantage, then it bites them in the ass. You get the spike at 13 and use the advantage to get a big lead, and by the time it wears off, you're comfortably ahead. I think that could be a really cool idea.
It'd be a cool idea, but if you give it that early, like the problem with this game is that, um, you know, getting ahead like that doesn't grant you all that much power unless it's a talent tier, and that's a lot. It takes a lot to get ahead in a talent tier, especially in competitive play. So, and even then, if you screw that up, especially with an idea like that, where the more you use it, the weaker it gets, um, it makes it easier for them to catch back up, and then you're left without a talent that doesn't really do anything. So I think design-wise, it definitely would feel really, really bad. I do like the idea of it being at level 20, though.
I think it would depend on the numbers. Like, I mean, if it doesn't like get you down to where you're literally doing 0 damage, then something like that would be really cool. But Badash and Silo9, thank you very much for follows, by the way. I wanted to throw that in there.
Fine.
Nikita says, Garish Hellscream, each time you use the ability, you become
Yeah.
more and more corrupted until you eventually become a hostile enemy to both teams? That would be
What?
interesting.
You know, I wouldn't put it past Blizzard to
Wow.
do something like that, though. Like,
You know, that would be really cool. I'm not gonna lie. That would be pretty awesome. Lord Bruce says, well, it could be something that slowly declines, or it can be something that stays strong until it's defeated, falls off. Or it could even, it could be something like, if you use this ability within 3 times in a minute, then it'll be at its weak state. But if you leave it alone for like a minute and a half, then it'll get like its charges back, or something like I like the idea a lot. Playing with the numbers to where it's balanced at a specific stage of the game, but also doesn't leave you feeling gimped would be important. But conceptually, I think it's really cool. Rinka says, what about a hero that is neutral and just kills both teams? like a raid boss? That'd be pretty interesting.
be interesting.
I mean, that would be like, that might get saved for like Arena if it ever comes out. Like,
yeah, it would
have
definitely
more of a
be
place
a weird, like
Yeah.
something like ARAM or Arena. Yeah.
there. The win says like a 1v. As Sonya.
The true test is 1v3ing his Vikings, man. That's where it's at. But yeah,
Just
aside
have
from
a talent that doesn't scale at all. Let's see.
Yeah.
I get it. Like I like the idea of stuff like that. I just it's a very thin margin you're balancing, because if you make it too strong early on a map like Sky Temple, you've catapulted yourself through the mid game to the point where the general snowball of that whole map, like, the game is going to be over. So having it do enough to be justified early game, but also have it do enough to be like worthwhile later, to where you'd want to take that hero at all. I mean, that's why Blizzard makes the big bucks. But conceptually, I like the idea. It just would be somewhat tough.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Renegades definitely would be fun. I'd like to see more. I hope when Arena comes out that there are some things that deviate from 5v5. If anything, just to shake it up, because sometimes like I'll feel like playing Heroes of the Storm, but I won't really want to like deal with the frustrations of Hero League, or to a lesser extent Unranked. Like, I just like the aesthetics and mechanics of the game. So adding something like that would be really cool. Lord Bruce says, well, the idea of this anti-quest would be that it's not something you always take. It's what you take when you think you can drive home a good. Yeah, I mean, if it's like the high risk, high reward option and not necessarily something in the base kit, I think you have a little more leeway, because it's like, well, if you think you're going to get a lot out of this, then by all means, but you might end up shooting yourself in the foot. But at the same time, it creates the paradox, like, well, if it's so good at the outset that it becomes the standard choice, and you're kind of back at the same spot where it's like, well, we don't want to make this broken to where it's like, I'm just going to take this town at level 7 and just win the game by just one-shotting people until level 13. So, if they can work the numbers out, I think my general opinion is that's a really awesome idea. It's just, you got to make it worthwhile without making it flat out broken at the same time.
I agree.
But Lunara. So we talked about, your general opinion of Lunara, what she's good against. I never thought of the Leoric Lunara synergy. That's a really cool idea. And in a past episode, we were talking about Leoric, where I still think he's due for some changes.
Oh, I think, okay, so with the PTR, there's one change that I really like, but it takes till 20 for it to really kick in, is his new 13 talent. It's the other one besides Crushing Hope. Um, it gives him a 10% move speed increase while he's Wing. And I think
Hmm.
with that and Spectral Leech at 20, that'll get him to where he can A move effectively and drain tank everything. So that's
Hmm.
yeah, drain momentum. That's
Yeah.
definitely what honestly that's something that should be looked into and might be better than crushing hope.
Yeah.
That's the only change that really is going to be that effective. Another thing that we really liked, but this was like OG Miasma back in like Chair League season 1.
Yeah.
We did Earthquake Thrall with Lunara. And the enemy team went Zeratul when that was super popular to have like that much
Uh huh.
control in a team fight and just blow somebody up that's not in those ults. Um, the really funny thing about that is that Earthquake Thrall and Lunara completely countered it in the fact that Axmaxta would throw down the Earthquake, and then
Mm.
with all those pulses, I could just A move around Zeratul and Zag, and they would die. Really, like they would die and they couldn't touch me. And Earthquake Thrall, like what the hell? Like nobody expects the Earthquake, you know? And you're moving around at 80% move speed, like I don't know. Lunar is somebody that I really, really loved, and I love the idea of how much she's how much she synergizes with everything. Um, I think she's a really cool hero, and she could stand to benefit from a lot of different things. I wish
Yeah.
Earthquake would be buffed because I do think it's a cool ult. Maybe if it pulsed more often, that would be a good buff.
Yeah.
Um, but getting into the PTR with Lunara, if there's nothing else you wanted to talk about Lunara, is there
Uh.
potentially?
No, I mean, in a lot of ways, I wanted to give you the floor. If you had a preferred build, I
Oh,
can
right.
switch over
No, no,
to
no. Let
the.
me let me give a preferred build. So,
Yeah.
um, at level 1, I usually take. Darn it. It's not photosynthesis. It is the reveal at level 1, where you auto attack. Usually just like Tracer. Um, enemies get to natural
Natural
perspective.
perspective.
There we go.
Yeah.
So Lunara would have the same problem that Tracer does, where an enemy can just run into the bushes and Jeej, like you're kind of done doing damage, run away. Um, natural perspective gives you the in to where they hit in a bush and it's not doing anything, which is really funny. It happens in Hero League quite a bit. Um,
I never even thought about that.
yeah,
Like when I see this talent, I'm just like, all right, well, if I'm going up against like a Zeratul or a Nova, like,
yeah,
all right,
that's
I'll take
immediately
that.
what comes to
But
mind.
I
But
never even thought to use it just to like discourage someone from like,
avoiding
two
damage,
stepping in and out of a bush. Like, yeah, that's.
or
See, we're all learning here tonight.
yeah,
I never even thought of that.
or when they step behind a gate, you lose vision of them. But with that, you keep the vision of them, so that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
At level 4, Nimble Wisp is usually always the go-to because with the speed, um, without the speed rather, they'll get killed off really quickly. And even with the buff to time lost, where the cooldown recharge has been increased from 100 to 125, um, yeah, it still goes slow. Like if anything, they should take Nimble Wisp and make it baseline, and then you can choose from the 3 other level 4s because level 4 for Lunara has to be the most boring tier in all of
Yeah.
Heroes of the Storm. It really is. It has to be. I play every hero is at least level 5 for me, and a lot of them are level 7 plus. By far, level 4 is the most boring talent tier. When I hit level 4 on Lunara, I'm like, sick. The rest of my team got something cool. I
And I
got
get to wait till 7.
yeah,
Like.
like cool. My Wisp goes faster and does what it should be doing already, in my opinion.
Right.
kind of sucks to suck. So then you go to level 7. So level 7's really interesting and where you'll see kind of the most diversity in all of the talent tiers. Um, so there's Splintered Spear, there's Nature's Calling, and then there is one more talent tier, or one more talent that I am thinking of. Wild
I
Vigor.
like,
Okay.
yeah, I was about to say, I like
So
Wild Vigor a lot. For
Wild Vigor used to be like the go-to, but when people started doing the math on it, that Lunara's auto attacks don't do that much to begin with. So when you stick a multiplier on something that doesn't do that much already, there's bound to be more effective things. Um, I would almost say Splintered Spear is always the go-to if you're looking for something that's team fight oriented. Nature's Calling is definitely my go-to. I love the idea of Nature's Calling that you auto attack a tower about 3 or 4 times and it dies. Like that's what?
do you think that's still going to be valuable
Uh,
with the patch tomorrow?
Nature's Calling?
Yeah,
We'll see. I mean,
because I think it went down to 150%.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a slap to Lunara players. I think.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, there's all this split push potential. Everybody's invited, but we're gonna nerf Nature's
Well,
Calling.
I mean,
Like,
Lunara. Don't get me wrong. Like Lunara, if you've played against a really good Lunara and
mm,
she just kind of takes advantage of some of the split that she can pull off, like it's
yeah.
pretty good. Um, Splintered Spear just got buffed, which I tried on the PTR and having it hit 4 members in a team fight.
Yeah.
Pretty good. It's definitely worth checking out now. Nature's Calling is still probably going to be the de facto
Yeah.
um pick, but Splintered Spear, if you already have like Zag or Zool,
Uh, and yeah, you can afford to go.
like her poison already does a decent amount of damage, and the negative of Lunar's damage is that it still takes time. It doesn't like instantly chunk people magically, or it doesn't make the building go away instantly. It still takes time to do that. And especially on Immortal is where I see a lot of people make this mistake where they'll take Nature's Calling and then they're like, okay, we win the fights automatically, you know?
Yeah.
But the enemy team has Greymane who does all this damage and more instantaneously, not over the next 9 seconds.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. I think you'll start seeing a lot more people move away from Nature's Calling after this nerf. I think in some situations it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
But like Sky Temple, it's hard to take Lunara on Sky Temple because of how much you have to rotate. But
Right.
with Sky, I've always really liked her on Sky Temple because of Nature's Calling, and if you get the advantage to push with whatever's being lasered down, that ooh, you get so much value. So
Yeah, like the second Sky Temple phase, if you can leave Lunar in the top lane, and most teams are
yep,
like so focused on rotating to the bot, like
yep,
you could clean up for real.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Looking through some of the chat, um, the general consensus that level 4, it's agreed that level 4 is probably the most underwhelming talent tier out of anybody in the game.
Yeah.
Other Fortuna says, I'm okay with an alt Wisp tier, but they barely change it. Splinter's also good for wave clear. I haven't given Splintered Spear the value that it like.
Oh,
I never
yeah.
really use it before. I always would go
So
for Wild Vigor and Nature's
Splin-
Calling.
Splintered Spear is really good because of when you think about it, you always just kind of assume it's really weird. Okay, so when the enemy team has Lunar, Uther and Medic, you
Mm-hmm.
always think like, oh yeah, her poison damage goes everywhere, just somehow, some way. It doesn't for the most part. For the most part, your poison is only going to be on 2 or 3 people, if that.
Right.
If you're really good with your skill shots, um, with Splintered Spear, really good. Like when you attack the hero, it extends your auto attack range. Like the split goes off way into the back line for the most part.
Mm.
And you'll be able to get your poison, and that's when you're going to see your real value on the poison. Um,
I feel like Splintered Spear is like
yeah.
a real problem for heroes like Uther or
Yeah.
Morales, where they, more single target focused heroes
And
or
that's how you
supports.
get your
Yeah.
value when your enemy has that. Someone brought up the point at level 1 there is a choking pollen or something like that at level 1, when your W is used on non-heroic units.
You get mana back.
Mana back,
Or,
and the
yeah.
cooldown is reset to 2 seconds, I think, or 1.
That might be in the PTR.
Cruel spores. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Cruel spores. So with Splintered Spear, it's really hilarious. So you can do Splintered Spear, you cast Q, you auto attack, and then you can actually just leave the wave and continuously press W, and the poison will more than likely kill the wave, and you'll get the experience for it.
I love doing that with Tychus, like
It's
the old
pretty
Tychus.
cool.
With Melting Point, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Like it's something I used to do, but I moved away from it. Because revealing the enemy is really important. Now for 10.
Before we jump into rogues, I wanna catch one chat because I actually got a couple of questions your way.
Yeah, sure.
So California says Lunara is hard to gank as a split pusher. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Stylo9, who I think is new to the channel. Hello, welcome. Says, I always liked Splintered Spear, and I didn't understand why more people didn't use it. California agrees with that. Yeah, I just did not give that the value that I'm definitely going to start using it more, based immediately off of this conversation. So I love Mid of the Storm because I always come away learning new things, especially when we have a guest as knowledgeable as Renal. And very glad to have you here, dude.
Thanks. I'm glad to be
Bell
here.
also says, how do you feel about the Chen Lunara matchup?
I don't know. You just lose. Like, no, like I'm sorry to be like very basic with that answer, but like you just lose. Like,
Yeah, without any reliable way to stop him from drinking, I think it, especially in the early game, Chen would struggle, or I mean, Lunara would struggle dealing with.
there's
him.
only Chen. Okay, Chen's another level 10 hero that I like. I think he's hilarious. Chen is, you either have two options to deal with Chen. You have to deal way more damage than he is absorbing at that current moment, or you stun him to death. And that
Right.
requires usually a whole team. And investing that many resources to killing Chen is, I mean, that's kind of the purpose of him, to make the team invest a lot of resources.
Yeah, so
Weird.
my general consensus is that
Okay.
Chen's not gonna do well. I mean, Lunara's not gonna do well. against
So,
Chen.
yeah, Silo pointed out something really interesting, and she just can leap his stuff. And yeah, you're absolutely right. But it's really it's definitely like almost impossible to 1v1 him. It's just too hard. Like you just don't do enough damage as her. What's better versus Lunara on Chen regen? So Fortifying Brew is going to knock down all magic damage that Chen receives by 25%. That includes poison damage, giant killer damage, anything that isn't auto attack. So Fortifying Brew, yeah, it might be the better choice. I mean, having raw health, that 500 extra health in the regen master, 30 HPS and 500 health versus 25% damage reduction on spells. Probably Fortifying Brew is better versus Lunara. Her auto attacks don't do that much. It's really rooted in her base abilities, so I would give it to Fortifying Brew to take against Lunara if you're playing Chen.
I would think that if you take Amplified Healing and Brewmaster's Balance,
Yeah.
you still might get more. But yeah, I don't know. I've actually been playing around a lot with Fortifying Brew, and
It's really good.
I think it's really underrated, especially now that Regen Master has had its change. Yeah, I definitely think that
Honestly, with the new change that they made to Enduring Swarm on Dahaka, where Dark Swarm reduces the damage of abilities made against you by
yep.
50%, I'm hoping that Chen could maybe receive the same buff.
I think
Maybe?
the Hawk is gonna be a beast. Like I normally go
Okay.
for the movement speed at level 1,
Yeah,
but the 50% ability damage with symbiosis at
yeah.
7 means like
It's looking
he's
nice.
he's more impactful, as a Nubarak was to Li Ming.
Yeah,
Like, you
and
know how people were taking a Nubarak to be
pair
like an
that up with
anti-mage?
yeah, you pair that up with Symbiosis at 7. It's pretty
Yeah.
that's gonna be some Craigasm right there. Um but yeah, Lunara versus Chen, pretty bad for Lunara. Just run away. Um,
But yeah, Kale, I mean, not to say that I love the Hockey. He's one of my favorite heroes,
yeah.
one of my most played these days. But just I'm excited for that change because I almost always would go for
I
the,
wish
the
they would
movement
just make
speed.
the agility baseline. That whole mechanic of the agility stacking with Essence, I really wish they would just make it baseline.
It would open up a lot for him,
Oh yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So this is the fun part about Meta the Storm. Like we because we're actually running towards the 2 hour limit again.
Right. Nice.
Um, so for heroics for Lunara,
Yeah.
oh, glad you're enjoying it, Silo Nine. We do this once a week. It's a lot of fun. So heroics. What's your thoughts on Lunara's heroics?
Right. So your go-to is definitely going to be Thornwood Vine through and through. Can't be body blocked. Can't it can just be sidestepped, and even then it's like it's pretty hard to sidestep. Um, that's your bread and butter ability for the most part in a team fight. Um, Leaping Strike is really good to take when you have somebody that is diving you, such as a Diablo or a Zeratul or maybe even a Nova. Somebody that's flanking you, and you
Mm.
just kind of need damage to deal, and that 80% slow that they receive while you're hopping over them is pretty potent. Um, it's an interesting ability, and with the PTR changes, it might receive a lot more love because its damage is increasing from 246 to 271. And when you take into account scaling, um, that alt has a lot of good damage. Um,
Mm.
so we will see where that goes. But all in all, you will see Lunara kind of move into a burstier champion. I think at you could still go unfair advantage. The Pestering Blossom, the range from 40 to 50% is really nice, but not needed. It's kind of like Falstad in the fact that you can just go boomerang just for that added burst instead of going for that range at level 7 now.
Yeah.
Um, you still want unfair advantage because it just adds that much more damage. Choking Pollen from the bonus damage to 100 to 125. Really interesting. I took it on the PTR and it was chunking people for 740 when I took it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty potent. If you can land it, it's really, really good. That comboed up with Leaping Strike. Um, Overall, just a more burstier champion out of Lunara. So, um, but yeah, for 13, I usually go unfair advantage almost always. If there's a lot of people trying to dive me, greater spell shield.
Mm-hmm.
At 16, I will go the range usually because that's when I can start reliably. Um, that's when I can start bursting down their backline with unfair advantage. I can get a Q, W, and then my auto attacks go for like half a map, and
Yeah.
start laying down that poison, which is really good. Um, and then at 20, I usually always get Galloping Gait. It's just so good. 80% move speed for 6 seconds or whatever it is.
What's
Um,
the cooldown on that?
30 seconds.
It's not bad at all.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So you get 80% move speed for 6 seconds. It is ridiculous. I really like it. It makes A moving really easy, or chasing down somebody. Overall, really good. Boundless Stride is, I don't know. Eh. Honestly, I expected to see some love towards this talent, but they reduced the CD on Abolish Magic, which is just like kind of a really cool cleanse for Lunara at level 20. But I don't know. I think it's at level 20. Usually, there's a support that you bring for cleanse, and um, it's not like you can choose a support without cleanse and then just bank on Lunara getting cleanse at level 20. Like that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, one thing that I always say, or I've said a few times on Meta of the Storm, is especially for the Storm tier talents, if I can get away with not taking a talent by like positioning myself or just like trying to compensate in some other way, then I'll go for another talent. And I feel like Abolish Magic is like
yeah.
at the top of that. It's like if I use talents like to extend my auto attack range and stuff like that, I take Gallop and Gate, I should not need Abolish Magic because I can position myself
Yeah.
to where like
The
I'm not in
one
a spot where like, oh, I wish I wasn't like stunned to death right now.
the one really cool thing about Abolish Magic is it's kind of a good spell to take against KT, and it's been overlooked by quite a few people. But if there's an enemy KT, don't be afraid to take Abolish Magic because when you use it on somebody that has bomb, it removes the bomb from you and from the targeted player. So
I
just keep
didn't
that
know
in
that.
mind.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
So yeah, Silo, they literally just asked, does anyone have a good story about Abolish Magic, and I would submit to you that that is
It
about as
saved us
good
a
a
couple
story as
times.
it gets. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely KT's. He throws the double bombs on your team and hopes it spreads. You just
yeah,
take it away.
yeah. One
um,
thing that I would say, Silo, is that there are a lot of really like niche instances for a lot of things in the game.
oh yeah,
It's just a matter of finding them and then balancing that to what you can value
and then
in other
taking it
places.
versus polybomb. Yeah, no polybomb. Yep,
Oh
I
yeah,
agree with that. It cannot remove stasis. Stasis is the trump card of CC. You cannot remove it.
activated my trap card.
Yep. So
So
that's all I got on Lunara, pretty much though.
to recap, number one, you like natural perspective.
Yep.
Number four, you like nimble wish because you feel like it should be in the base kit anyway.
Yeah, I mean it moves too slow. Like you just need that speed for it.
Right. At seven, splintered spear, nature's culling are kind of tied, and wild vigor kinda.
Kind of.
At number 10, Thornwood Vine, Leaping Strike if you're going for more burst and you're feeling cheeky. It's the impression I got. But
Yeah, or if there's
90% of the
somebody
time, it's
that
Vine.
yeah, if there's somebody that's diving you like a Diablo or something,
Yeah,
that's what you want is take that.
right. And then at 13, you opt for Unfair Advantage.
Yes.
Do you ever use Greater Spell Shield?
Yeah, so maybe it got overlooked, but Greater Spell Shield I said earlier is used for a Li Ming or a Zeratul.
Mm.
If they're really gunning for me, like throughout the game, I'm feeling okay. These guys aren't stopping. How can I get them to stop? Take take Greater Spell
Yeah,
Shield. They're not gonna do damage to you after that. And just wait. Like as soon as they use it, just dip out of the fight for a little bit, do what you can with Thornwood Vine, and then jump back in.
gotcha. Makes sense.
Yep.
Thanks for going over that again. At 16, Starwood Spear and Choking Pollen sometimes. That's the
Choking
impression I
Pollen,
got.
I think after the buff, it will be that 25% extra damage will really
Will
help
be
it
the
out.
difference maker.
Yeah, I think so. It's the amount of burst that it'll be bringing is a lot more now. So,
That's fair.
um, if there is somebody that's I don't know, Invigorating Spores just isn't that good anymore. There used to be a really cool build with Wild Vigor and Invigorating Spores, but no,
Yeah.
that's eh. If there's somebody really diving you, like their whole team is just going for you,
Right.
Splintered Spear and let them wither is huge team fight control. Um, Something to think about.
Egg Breakfast makes a good point. He likes invigorating spears on
Yeah.
Battlefield of Eternity.
For a race,
Shredding the race with especially with Nature's Culling. That's a very potent and astute observation.
I agree.
And then at 20, we go for a Galloping Gate most of the time with
Yep.
some niche situations for Abolish Magic.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I really enjoy playing Lunara. I don't get to play her that much because I mostly end up tanking in any sort of coordinated fashion.
Gotcha.
But I always enjoy Lunara, and
Yeah.
you have been very insightful on
Oh, thank you.
you know how to think about Lunara, how to approach building her, where she fits in the compositions. I had never thought about the Leoric
Yeah.
Lunara.
It's
synergy.
pretty potent. And also one more. I'm sorry I have to get it in there
Oh,
with
go
the
for it.
upcoming change. Think Gazlo Lunara with Engine Gunk at level 7 for
Oh my
Gazlo.
god! Wow, yeah.
So
And Robo Goblin.
yeah. So there's this
Ugh.
interesting comp that Miasma Black came up with. It's got Robo Goblin, or it's got Engine Gunk at level 7, and then
Mhm.
you can't touch Lunara anymore at that point. You just create this and it's always been good. It's not just you're just gonna see a rise in Gazlo, and whether or not he's gonna be any better, he's going to be popping up in your HL games. So, um, he's
Winter's coming.
Yeah, Gazlo is coming for you, whether you like it or not. So Engine Gunk at level 7 paired with Lunara's Unfair Advantage, potent, very very potent, lots of damage. So get ready for the Gazlo. Yeah, Gazlo as tier. Um, that's just one other synergy that's like, oh god, why is this happening to our team? We can't do this. So yeah,
Silo, last week we jumped into pretty much all of the PTR patch aside from Tyrael and Zagara, and we ran to the 2 hour mark there. So we're like, wow, we should probably cut it off because Tyrael and Zagara were some of the more meaty heroes that I had wanted to discuss. So, last week's episode, which I still need to put on iTunes, but is on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Lauren. Ladies and I talked about quite a bit about stuff like that. I don't know if we necessarily got into the Asmo. Oh no, man! I'm not. The discussion's been healthy. It's more like, oh wow, it's already been 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's not like
that's exactly
time has
the
flown.
feeling
This
what
has
I'm getting.
been but one thing that we do well, actually, Full Metal Jesus, I don't know if he's still here, but he asked an interesting question on BattleNet before the episode.
Okay.
And he asked and Renal, I want your take on this, and anyone in the chat, obviously, throw your opinions out there and we can chop them up. But is the reign of Kael'thas coming to an end?
Let me look at his patch notes again really quickly. I know they changed a lot.
Yeah,
No.
You still think it's the time of the Fire Mage?
I think he's tuned down a little bit. Actually, not a lot, just a little bit. And you'll see him kind of go a little bit away, but I think he's still really good. And you're just going to see some different talents on him, maybe just a little bit. I think he's still going to be very much there.
I like that answer. My knee-jerk reaction to the question was well, if it is coming to an end, it's pretty much going to be the rise of Zagara.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, going into the episode, really thinking of the implications of the patch and the little changes that Kael'thas had, I think this patch is definitely going to be the onset of a power creep that leaves some heroes out in the cold. Because Kael'thas is Kael'thas. He's obviously a very good hero, probably still arguably the best range damage dealer. But now that the meta could potentially shift so heavily towards siege potential, I think you'll start to see Kael'thas show up in the second half of some drafts or in the second round of bans.
Yeah.
Where a hero like Vala or someone that does steady solid damage would show up at the back end of a draft, but now that spot in a draft is going to be that much more emboldened because it's Kael'thas there.
Well,
Some of these other people.
the cool thing about Kael'thas is that his wave clear is still gonna be insane. And
Yeah.
with these changes to the minions and being able to de-push a lane that quickly, I think you'll still see a lot of them in the first round of drafting, is my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think he's going to be as heavily banned as he was anymore, because they toned down his damage a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. Um, but you're still going to see those good KTs. Like I played with Luda the other day on his KT and just
Yeah.
was absolutely blown away. Like he lands every or every gravity lapse, and those are the good KTs. That's who you notice is like,
Yeah.
they take advantage of that level 7 that they get every single time, and it's bad. So they're nerfing that damage a little bit, but overall, I think um, it's just more punishing to miss your gravity lapse, and that's okay. I think
Yeah.
that's what is going to make them really good. I think Sun King's Fury is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you'll see KT still. You will still see him.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't changed him enough to where it's like,
Yeah, like
he he
oh
he will
god.
forever be a thing. Yeah. I'm looking back through some of the chat. Egg Breakfast says still so much burst. He's definitely still top mage in my opinion, and I would definitely agree with that. I think this patch you'll see less of Li Ming because at least as far as getting banned in Hero League, like Zagara is gonna start to take that slot in the earlier. I think Kael'thas, like I said, will either fall into that like, oh well, if we took all our siege heroes at the front of the draft, like here's Kael'thas, like
Yeah.
But I think Li Ming's gonna get taken down a peg or two based off of this patch, just because of what else is out there now.
I would agree with you just because of how important split pushing is going to be.
Right.
That hero killing, like how Ming
Mm-hmm.
is going to be devalued just a little bit. But it remains to be seen, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean that to suggest that she's bad by any stretch.
Yeah.
But it's just like we can only pick so many heroes,
Yeah,
like,
right.
and we have to pick these. Like, we have to really try to get the most out of these slots. And Kael'thas's AOE damage and burst potential, outside of just someone being super good at Li Ming, I would take Kael'thas before Ming. And then now there's all these siege options that could really open up and change the meta where it's not, I'm trying to secure my lockdown and burst heroes now. It's more like I need to make sure I have enough wave clear, keep up with a 4 or 5 top specialists now that can apply constant pressure. Because the minion change is going in and of itself is going to add value to the. I mean, like, Reno, I feel like we'd be having the same conversation even if the minion change didn't happen. Like with some of these talent changes, like Zagara, is still good. Like her split push potential is unreal now. Aslo's still.
I think
unreal.
the catapult minions change had to go through in order to talk about like how we've been talking about Zagara in terms of split pushing, or else she would still be that like one trick control pony in a team fight where you have to land your maw and get sick maws, or else you're just like being a useless piece of crap. Like it's pretty much what it comes down to.
Rainer with no merit.
Yeah. Kinda. So it's definitely interesting. One more tidbit before we have to. I have to get going really soon.
Yeah, because you have scrims and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
so serrated spines on Zag. Be looking out for that. That's pretty good. Every auto attack you get 0.3 attack damage.
Right.
That can just infinitely stack. It's pretty good.
Wow. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's really good. We were messing around with it. It's a really good talent. But yeah.
Yeah, Zagara's gonna be a problem. Like she's just gonna be, no matter how it gets sliced. So yeah, Full Metal, if you're still here, I don't think the rise or era of Kael'thas is over by any means. I just I just think that the overall number of S tier quote unquote heroes has shot up by quite a bit. I would conservatively say there's 5 more heroes nowadays that reasonably fit into the first pick, first ban conversation that weren't there.
I can agree with that.
So that in and of itself is just going to cause some interesting shuffling. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to feel like an entirely different game. And we're in for a time. We are in for a wild time.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a wild ride incoming.
But yeah, we're starting to wind down here. I think this has been a very, very healthy discussion. I'm looking back through the chat. Silo asked about Greymane, and yeah, the auto attack. It's hard to go wrong with the auto attack focus. But with the PTR patch, the Worgen damage has gone up quite a bit. I had mentioned a hypothetical build that I've had some success with, where you go for viciousness at 1, the stealth at 4, the duelist talent at 7, the new marked for the kill at 10 that puts the perpetual vulnerability. At 13, take, I think it's unfettered assault. K1K, thanks for follow, appreciate it. The unfettered assault, the Worgen Q range increase, and then at 16, the new attack speed. At 16, where if you're in Worgen form for 4 seconds, you start doing like 40% more attack speed or something like that. And basically, the synergy is at the start of a fight, you put mark for the kill on someone, jump into Worgen form, and you just chase them forever with the Worgen Q. And the added attack speed, like you just start shredding people. And that person just either has to leave or they're going to die because everybody's doing 25% damage to them. So if you can master, and then the cleave at 20. If you can master, jumping into Worgen form and not getting yourself killed, or if you have double support like Tassadar, Rhaegar, or something like that, or even Medivh, like that's a build I would say experiment with. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. It's been an amazing show. Again, Renal, very insightful, tons of fun. Really glad to have you on here. Like I said at the beginning of the show, when you reached out to me, I was like, oh wow, man, this would be a really cool opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we were able to make this happen. I'd really like to have you on the show again sometime.
Yeah, no, I would love to be back on. This was a lot of fun to do. I love doing this type of thing, and especially since come August, my time as a player will be winding down. I would love to be more involved with the community. I really like the amateur scene and the pro scene, so it's it'll be nice, and it'll be really nice, especially to get into the pro scene hopefully soon. And
hey man, you guys keep chipping away at those qualifiers.
Yeah, we will. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But my one hope is to stop making it so exclusive in terms of like content and
right.
Kind of showing who we are and being open to the community like we've always been, I think. So yeah.
I mean, for those that are here for the first time, Renal is a guest. There's normally another host with me by the name of Bleedies. He just couldn't be here tonight, fortunately. The idea of the show, as you've heard and seen, is we just talk about the finer points of Heroes of the Storm, the meta, as the name would suggest. When there's not like a huge patch to talk about that takes up like multiple episodes, we like to find a hero to focus on each week, like we did tonight with Lunara, and we also focus on a hero that we feel could stand to have some kind of revision, whether they are overtuned or undertuned, and our ideas, and we reach out to the community and say like, hey, what are your ideas? And as you've seen, we try to make it a very interactive experience.
Yeah.
And the goal is every episode, learn a little more about the game, and it makes you just a better player. I've definitely improved, where I feel I'm a much more knowledgeable person for starting this. I don't feel like I'm an expert by any means. I just wanted to get the ball rolling on a community level discussion about finer points of the game, and it's been a lot of fun so far. So thanks for all the positive feedback. You can follow the show on Twitter at Meta of the Storm. Feel free to send tweets there. Lord Boo has some really cool ideas about, stuff that we could potentially analyze in future episodes. But just like, if there's a topic you wanted to talk about, just throw it out there. Just say like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And then I look at that and I'm like, let's set aside some time to talk about it. And you show up here, and it's been a lot of fun. So check it out. But another thing that we've started to do, and unfortunately Renal will not be able to join us because he's got scrims and stuff. Because he's super competitive guy, rocking qualifiers. But at the end of episodes, the past couple episodes, we've done like viewer games. I was trying to get into the PTR.
Yeah, it looks like
episode, but I guess it's down.
The PTR looks like it's down. So yeah, the Chen changes are top level keks, man. It's exactly what it is.
Top level keks.
Yeah. PTR's down. Feels bad, man.
Yeah. So I was really hoping to get some more video games in on the PTR since we've been talking about all these changes. But yeah, we can always talk about the teams, like, of course. Lord Boo, I think the Chen changes are subtle but momentous. I think you will start to see him quite a bit more. That is a quality of life change. And Lord Boo, I saw some of the comments you were making about Chen earlier in the episode where, that extra 10 like brew that you get out of having that more reliably is going to allow those combinations to come off a hair quicker, and a very skilled player is going to be able to capitalize on that and take Chen to a level that the average player won't. But at the competitive level, like we were talking about earlier, Chen's already really tough in solo lane. You add that extra 10 brew reliably, and I think you're gonna start to see some more Chen. Personally, I'm talking about Chen.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really need to get going.
Yeah.
So I just like to do some shout outs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
where
obviously,
can we find you?
Yeah, so you guys can see us on Twitter right now. As soon as we start getting some more promising results, I'll be looking into getting a website for us to make announcements and all that. But for right now, our home base is Twitter. We will be playing on the Heroes United tournament this coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So make sure to tune in to that, guys. And yeah, just be on the lookout. We got 2 teams going. There will be a lot of cool stuff coming for Miasma. Lots and lots of cool things. Both of our rosters are looking super strong. So,
and confirm.
Yeah, just keep following us. I love all the support, and thank you. Thanks for having me, Halloran.
Absolutely, man. To those who weren't here for the first half of the show, I would throw again my personal endorsement of Miasma eSports. They are a team and organization that I've seen rise up through Chair League and into some of these amateur events, and every time I see them, I come away more and more impressed. And I got to cast them last week. Both teams played against each other, and he's not kidding. Like these are 2 really strong teams that pulled off something of an upset, even at the recent qualifier. So definitely, I feel that Miasma eSports is an organization and a pair of teams to watch out for. They're at Miasma eSports on Twitter, and if you're not already following them, I strongly suggest that you do.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Halloran. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. Take it easy. Have a good night.
You too.
So yeah, that was Renal. Super cool dude. I'm really glad that he had messaged me and asked to be on the show. I was surprised when I was like, yeah, man, like I've seen your team. Like you guys, the more insightful people that we can get on the show, I feel, the better off the show will be. Like I said, I'm not an expert by any means. I like to think I know a lot about the game. But having these different perspectives and forms of input only adds to the overall discussion. And I'm glad you had fun, Silo. Thanks, Serenicus. So if there was an appetite to do a viewer game on the, the live server right now, I'm definitely game to do that. I'd ideally hoped to do it on PTR. But at the same time, I know we've also been going for almost 2.5 hours now. So, but it's been a fun 2 hours. Like, I don't feel... That's what I love about Meta of the Storm. Like, time flies. You have these really cool discussions, and I hope people like it. So, all right, wins is down for one. So what we can do? There's an in-game channel /meta. So I'll post it. If you go into Live Heroes and type /join meta, the first 4 people that jump in there and say anything, I'll invite them. We can do a viewer game, and it'd be neat. So, if you're interested. There's the wins. Yes, Silo, jump in. Let's see the Jay, of course. How's it going, man? Always good to see you. We got Lord Boo. I saw EXE join the channel. Jay's in here. And then Atro. Alright. See Atro in the channel. I can't invite. Oh, that's Silo. Alright. So. Invite Atro. Yeah, I couldn't like right click on you for some reason, but. Okay. So we got our 5. This is really cool. Thanks for want me to get in on this. Let me alright, switch over there. Yeah, I mean, well, Egg Breakfast, if we have enough to do 2 teams, then I'm down for a custom game. So let me look around. Let me look in the channel real quick. So right now, only Lord Boo is in the channel, not in the party. And you would be too. If there's 3 more people, then yeah, we can do a custom game. If not, we'll just do a quick match and do it like that. Lord Boo said he'd be down for custom. So, alright, we got Lord Boo, we got Egg Breakfast. If we can get 3 more, we can do a full custom game, and that'd be really cool. Ideally, I'd like to do a full custom. So, yeah, 4 or even 1 more. Yeah, a 4v4 would be cool. So, if not, the next time I know it's like I said, this has been another 2 hour. Renicus will jump in here. Very cool. All right, we got a Renicus, guys. Yeah. Sorry, Kylie. Thanks for hanging out, man. Really appreciate it. And Silo, I'm curious to see this this Winion build. If we do 4v4, it might not. I get like 4v4 would change the texture of it. I try, Kylie. I try. But yeah, let me get a. So we're gonna do a 4v4. So again, this is more just to, joke around, stuff like that. We in fam. A fun fact, Boo. I've never played Lost Cabin. So let's do it. I've never played Lost Cabin. So EXC's already in here. The wins, Lord Boo. Fighting Lord Boo. Lord Boo, get out. What? It says he's already in a queue. What the heck? I guess I can go over here. Oh, that's cool, Silo. So yeah. I mean, I don't. Oh, the one just glitched. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Let me unmute the game itself. I don't even know how I feel like being right now, though. Oh, we're doing Aram, though. So, yep. So, Silo, at the Winion build, I mean, on Lost Cavern, it would be kind of weird anyway, I guess, but yeah, full Aram. I think this is gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to this. Like I said, I've never done Aram or Lost Caverns at all. Well, I definitely agree with you, Silo. Once this patch hits tomorrow, Asmo's siege potential will become a full-on thing. And yeah. Like I've played against Zagara enough to where I'm like, this might not be the most fun thing. Oh, the Winds is gambling on Rexar. I'm gonna get like Nazebo. Like I don't anticipate me getting anyone really worthwhile, but or someone like I'm just like not good with at all. So this is gonna be fun. Oh, also, random question: has my voice like skipped from one side to another a lot or at all tonight? Tried to fix some stuff and like make preparations to try to fix that. It's happened a few times with this microphone, so I think it's been okay, or at least no one's like, "Oh yeah, dude, like your mic is all messed up." So I'm hoping it's been good. No, boo, no. Oh no, I got freaking yeah. Oh, Sonya. Not terribly, but sometimes. Alright. It might just be this cable is loose or something, which would really suck, considering the investment I put in this thing. But I'll have to continue to mess around with it. And also just might be me like bouncing all around like a weirdo. So I go for war paint. The Winds is on Nova. We got Hammer, ET's. Body blocking you, Silo. Oh, you guys got Morales? Oh, I'm getting that tower range. It's not nice. Wow, Lord Boo kind of got the shaft with Murky, not gonna lie. Oh, the spear, though. Y'all didn't see that spear. Oh. We got like no siege potential whatsoever. Oh, I was not expecting a power slide while I was in tower range. See, like, they've got wave clear, and we're just like, oh. Oh, God. No! Oh, EXE with the grenade to the back of the face. Impolite. Impolite. Easy. Oh, man. Yeah, I would imagine listening to the delay would be somewhat off-putting. Wins, I might just have to tell your story, because... Uh-oh. This isn't going well. Save my life, Irenicus. Alright, I hit him the well. Yeah, I caught that grenade the hard way, and that was pretty rough. In your face, boo. Get that snoot boot. Alright, focus attack will make my life a little easier. Calculated. Oh my god! I went wave. Oh, thank you for the knockback, breakfast. Thank you for the knockback. I like risked my whole team's life there. Oh, that's right. You can't hearth back. I'm over here like thinking I'm hearthing. No, don't step on it. Oh, EXE. EXE stole a reach. I forgot you can't hearth back, so I'm just standing there like a jackass. Oh, man. Rip. Damn. Feels bad, man. Uh-oh. I'm like getting, like, my team's getting screwed over because of me. I feel a little bad. Sonya tank 4v4 new meta hype. Oh, boo! That's impolite, man. See? See? I'm trying to back your play at breakfast. I bet it all. I bet it all. We're only killing Murky. It's funny. I've died 3 times. I'm good at the game. I promise. Me and Jay used to be on the same competitive team. We just gotta find the right moment to, like, do all of our damage at one time. Worth. Alright. Oh! Uh-oh. Nah, man. Oh, Jay. Stop being good at this. So being solo warrior Sonya is something of a question mark right now. I can't save you, bro. Get the medic. Oh, Tychus. It's like we're finally getting kills, but at what cost? There's still a full level up. Yeah, this is rough. Tychus's ability to shred me is definitely a point of concern. And then I can get power slid out of my little spin to win. This is rough. Look at Murky on this freaking thing. No. Yeah, like I I can't really put myself out there. That Aram. I believe in you, Egg Breakfast. We're just late game. See, the problem we're running into is their engage is just like crazy. They power slide on me, and then the talent, the trait from Tychus is more than enough time to get a kill, and we just need to get 10. It's gonna be rough. That laser. Just stem drone Murky. Are we all here? I mean, the most I can do is just like YOLO and hope that Nets kills somewhere down the line. But it didn't really pan out like that time. So we're killing Boo. Damn, I've died 6 times. It's hard being out in this front line in this situation now. Fish tank OP. Yeah, that Murky tank. Oh! No, come back! What is this slow? Murky! Rude. Oh, almost got it. Yeah, we gotta really butter the biscuits off of this. You're coming with me, Jay. You're coming with me. I'll take it. I'll take it. Probably wasn't really worth it, but it felt right. I'd really love to have the Hawk in this situation. That would be cool. Ooh, that synergy though. Ow, 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 ow. Holy crap. Tychus, man. Tychus. Damn, EXE, you're freaking wrecking right now. Good job, man. Mystical Spear should help me out a little bit. So I just gotta like live long enough. Like Nerves of Steel at 16 will help. Alright, that's laser. We just and storm stim pack. Don't need to stand and all that. Trying to keep my Wrath of the Berserker up at least though. Nice job, Silo, with the stage dive, keeping him alive. Damn. Oh, Jay is close. You guys are good, man. This is crazy. Yo, dive was fun. Yeah, if you don't get stunned out of it, or... Gotta wait for Hammer to get back. I don't want to YOLO in. See, we just... Oh, man, this is tough. I can't wade in there. Anytime I'm out in the front line, a power slide and the minigun from Tychus is just melting me. Feels bad. Damn, they have their 16s too. Pretty much what's happening is ETC power slides, face melts me back into their team, and then Tychus is doing all types of damage to the front of my face. Not this time, buddy. Baylor in action. I'm trying. I was ready for that stage dive that time. I was like, all right. Just need to keep my Wrath of Berserker going off of you, Merc. That deep dive though. I saw that egg. I saw that egg, boo. Oh. Just gonna wait. Wrath of Berserker died. I'm glad you're having fun, man. Just for kicks, you know. No! Boo! No! Oh, the Octo Grab. I couldn't use my Nerve of Steel. But, yeah, Nikita, at the end of Meta of the Storm episodes, we've been doing viewer games. Lord Boo might have just, like, won the game right there, to be honest. That Octo Grab locking me out was next level. Got my snoot booped for real. Thanks for hanging out, Daffy. Really appreciate it, man. Always good to see you. Hope you had a good night. Oh, EXC save. My pleasure, Dyfear. Always a pleasure to have you. At least they don't have like the siege potential to like really make us pay for these staggered deaths. So we got that going for us. I'm waiting for that. There we go. Not gonna get much. Wow. I'm blowing that early. That octograb! Ah! I just can't go out here. They're picking on me, guys. 12 deaths. 12 deaths. I can't, like, I'm not built for success in this situation. Yeah, that's true. Like medic and ETC are really they're gonna be a tough nut to crack with our quad setup. But these guys are playing really well too. Oh, if I was there. I need to get away from this laser. Or within range of tranquility. Alright. Laser needs to go. I'm gonna try to clear this lane up. Try to get our minions up here. Be nice to get more kills out of that, obviously, but we gotta talk to him for that. Oh, I can't do anything for you right now. Sorry, Wins. A long range grenade though. All right. Oh, come on. Man, I tried to get that spear on Murky. Yeah, Nikita. We only had 8 people. Oh! Alright. I don't like this. I don't like this anymore. I want to leave. Excuse me. I want to leave. I did not want to spear onto ETC. This is full Aram. All random, all mid. At first I was like, oh man, cool, I got Sonya. Then I was like, oh, I got Sonya. Because pretty much every time I stick my face out, I get a power slide and then Tychus melts me. And then the octograb is also fun. But props to the Winds, doing a bunch of damage on Nova. So more or less my hope is just to go throw myself to the wolves and hope I set up a situation where the rest of my team can win a 3v4, more or less. Which is an uphill battle, as you can see. Yeah. And yeah, the Winds, that's pretty close. Or Egg Breakfast. Oh, Eggy. But hey, we're getting kills on Murky. Kappa. How do we turn this around? We gotta. I don't want to jump in here too far because if he power slides past me, like I'm dead. So, in effect, pretty much all I can do is just stand here and like watch this. Because once that power slide comes out, that's the start. well, alright. And I did not hit the wall. See the... Ooh! The key is getting the J, which is proving to be difficult, all considered. No! I was worried about the octograb! No! I don't know if we can salvage this one. The power sliding in the thing. Oh, wins. Damn. Yeah, that's a fair point, Nikita. There was just not... There was not going to be a moment where I could comfortably stand on the front line in that situation is the problem. That was the quandary. Because basically what I had to worry about was if I was out in the front line, ETC power slides past me, Fate smelts, and then I eat 8 grenades. Like, I eat 8 grenades, and then I get melted by Tychus, and I'm the only person on the front line, and we have Nova for stealth, so it's really like 3 visible people and a not tank for the front line, and then that's that. So it was tough. I'm curious to see this comp silo, but I think I need to get some food. I was like, I can wait. Like I can like I had like a little snack beforehand. I was like, I can wait. But now I'm like on the verge of collapse, unfortunately. But next time, or like stay in the meta channel, play quite a bit. So that'd be cool. You can catch me there. I'm on Twitter at _Lauren. Also at Meta the Storm for the show itself. I stream a bunch. I play Heroes of Storm and I played another game called Dead by Daylight. And actually, I'm thinking about streaming some of that later on. If you want to stop by, it's a really cool game. But again, this has been another very fun and exciting episode. Again, big thanks to Renal. As you guys saw, he's a really cool dude. So I really hope to have him on the show again. Really insightful. And Silo, it was a great pleasure to meet you tonight. I'm really glad you stopped by. Hope to see you around again soon. So yeah, like in a half hour or so, I probably will stream some of that game. So yeah, do that for a little while. Oh, another thing, Lord Boo. Jay, always a pleasure to see you, man. Oh, Jay, I gotta show you something. I'll message you on Discord. You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. Trust me. But everybody, thanks for hanging out in the 8th episode of Meta the Storm. I think Monday. Oh, I'm sure, Boo. Like, there was no recourse for me between Power Slide, the Tychus Melt, the grenades, and Octograb. Like, I just could not go out there because it was just like I got wrecked. So, but I mean, it was fun. That's the joy of ARAM. But yeah, 8th episode, ton of fun. As long as people keep enjoying the show, we're gonna keep doing it. Like, so yeah, like I died 14 times, but again, there wasn't much I was gonna do in that situation. Yeah, I got rocked. I got rocked bad. But I'll be back in a little bit for some Dead by Daylight if you guys want to check that out. Yeah, Silo, definitely bring some friends. Like I said, like we do hero focuses, so you know we talk about a hero, and it'd be really cool to incorporate them into the viewer games afterwards, or you know, if someone like yourself has a really cool idea for a composition, wants to show people. There's that. I'm also toying with the idea of doing like an ongoing like power list of like the top 3, you know, melee assassins, top 3 solo warriors, and get like input from the rest of the community about it, stuff like that. Oh, my bad, Lord Boo. For some reason, I thought we were already friends. Tro and Lord Boo. Thank you very much. And thanks, Silo. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I try to be a positive influence on the community. I do a bunch of casting. I don't know if you've ever seen me cast or not. But if you come here tomorrow night, actually, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm casting at least one best of 3 set for Chair League. So if you want to see plenty of cool amateur level action, the Chair League playoffs are going on for the next few weeks. So that'll be really exciting. I like to think I'm a good caster. I have fun doing it. So. But yeah, I'll stop the stream from now. Be back in like a half hour or so. Well, I'm really glad you did, Silo. Seriously. I genuinely appreciate every viewer and person that has any kind of interest in what I'm doing, what's going on with the community. I'm glad, man. I'm glad. And thanks to Wins. And like I said, I'll be back in a little bit. See you guys.